Ali McCoy, the iconic figure of Ibrox, the man whose name echoes through the stands like a battle cry, has once again stepped into the spotlight. And this time, he's not holding back. With the Rangers season hanging by a thread with fans clinging to fading hopes and the dressing room still reeling from the turbulence left behind by Philippe Clement's departure, McCoy has chosen his moment. A moment to speak his truth. A moment to lay it all bare with the passion of someone who's bled for the badge and knows exactly what this club should stand for. You could feel it in his voice. The frustration, the disappointment, but also that familiar fire that only legends carry. Ali isn't just pointing fingers, he's calling for a reckoning. Because the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, needs to be faced. Rangers once again are at a crossroads. The performances have stuttered. The belief has waned. And the supporters, the lifeblood of the club, are fed up watching the same cycle play out like a broken record. In his latest comments, McCoy took aim not just at the present, but at the future. He painted a picture of what Rangers could be, should be, but only if the right choices are made now. This isn't the time for half measures or feel-good stories. This is a time for bold decisions, for real leadership. And in his eyes, it starts with three names. Three figures who to him have what it takes to steer this historic club back to where it belongs, not just competing, but commanding respect across Europe. He dropped the names like a gauntlet: Steven Gerrard, Slaven Bilic, and Frank Lampard. Three managers with pedigree, presence, and crucially European experience. Not wishful thinking, serious candidates. And he didn't just throw them out for show. McCoy spoke with a conviction that made it clear Rangers can't afford to get this wrong. One more misstep and the consequences could be dire. Not just another lost season, but an erosion of identity, a drift into mediocrity that a club like Rangers should never accept. But here's the thing, he wasn't just looking at the dugout. McCoy knows that fixing this club requires more than a new face on the touchline. It's deeper than that. It's about culture, character, and making sure that the squad on the pitch actually reflects the values this club was built on. And when he looked at the current squad, he didn't see that. He saw fragility, a lack of presence, and the same group of players who, in his words, got the last manager sacked. He didn't mince his words. How can anyone expect a transformation? When the personnel remains unchanged, how can there be progress if the foundations are still cracking? These are the questions he's throwing out into the ether. Questions that fans have been asking themselves week after week as they watch their team falter in big moments. And just when you thought he'd said enough, McCoy went further. He shone a light on the pitch itself, identifying key areas that simply can't be ignored any longer. Despite the recent blunder from Jack Butland, an error that left supporters in disbelief during the match against Hibs, Ali was clear the goalkeeper isn't the club's biggest problem right now. It's an important position, of course, maybe even the most important, but what he sees are even greater issues in other parts of the park. And unless those are dealt with, Rangers will continue to stumble when it matters most. A commanding center half, a midfielder who can actually dictate a game, and a proper number 9. Those are the pillars he says must be addressed immediately. Not in 6 months. Not next year. Now. Because without power, without presence, this team can't impose itself the way Rangers sides of old once did. That's the real problem. And no amount of motivational talk or tactical tweaks is going to fix that on its own. The urgency in McCoy's words wasn't for show. It was a warning, a plea, because he's seen this club rise from the ashes before. He knows what resilience looks like. But he also knows what happens when warning signs are ignored. And right now, every sign is flashing red. With Barry Ferguson doing his best to hold the ship together, the reality is that the current setup is a temporary fix, a stopgap in a storm. And while there's deep respect for what Ferguson represents, even he would admit this is no long-term solution. The question now isn't just who takes over, but what kind of Rangers will they inherit? Will it be a club ready to rebuild with purpose, or one still lost in confusion? McCoy is challenging the board, the supporters, and the entire structure behind the scenes to wake up, to stop reacting late and start planning with intent. Because across the city, Celtic keep marching forward. They keep winning, they keep reinforcing, and that's a painful truth no one at Ibrox wants to admit. But McCoy isn't here to make anyone feel better. He's here to demand better, because if Rangers want to compete, not just survive, they need to act like a club that believes in its own potential again. The decisions made in the coming weeks won't just shape the next season. They could. define the next decade. And that's not drama, that's reality. The weight of the moment isn't lost on McCoy. He's lived through highs and lows, and he knows exactly how fine the margins can be. One good call can reignite a club. One wrong turn, and the spiral continues. Right now, Rangers are staring at our fork in the road. The supporters are watching. The players are under scrutiny. And the legacy of Ibrox demands more than just noise. It demands action. So let's talk about the names. Because when Ali McCoy speaks, people listen. And when he puts forward not one, not two, but three potential managers to lead Rangers into their next chapter, it's not something to be taken lightly. This wasn't a flippant comment or pub talk. It was deliberate. It was thought through. And above all, it was said with the weight of someone who's walked the walk. Steven Gerrard, Slaven Bilic, and Frank Lampard. Three very different profiles, but each bringing a particular kind of energy, experience, and ambition that Rangers desperately need right now. For McCoy, these aren't fantasy picks, they're real options. Men who've proved themselves in the fire of high-level football. Men who wouldn't be overwhelmed by the size of the club or the expectations that come with managing at Ibrox. In fact, it's that pressure that would likely draw them in. Starting with Gerrard. It's impossible to ignore the legacy he already left behind. Say what you will about how it ended, but what he achieved during his first spell can't be downplayed. He brought belief back to the terraces. He stopped the 10 and arrow. He gave Rangers a spine again. And McCoy, for one, wouldn't hesitate to welcome him back. There's unfinished business there, a sense that his journey at Ibrox wasn't quite complete. The club was on the rise when he left. Maybe now with things wobbling again, he's the steadying hand they need. But then there's Bilic, a wild card in some eyes, but not to McCoy. The Croatian has grit, he's got passion, and he's no stranger to difficult jobs. He's taken on projects that look beyond saving and managed to breathe life into them. He's worked across top leagues, he commands dressing rooms, and most of all, he plays with a certain fire in his teams that Rangers fans would immediately take to. Could he be tempted? That's the big question. But if he's on the list, it means he's in the conversation, and that alone is telling. And then there's Lampard, maybe the most controversial of the three. McCoy himself admitted that landing Frank might be a stretch, especially considering his current form at Coventry City, where he's got things ticking nicely. But the appeal is obvious. Big name, big reputation, a modern manager with experience at the top level and a drive to prove people wrong. For Rangers, he'd be a statement. A bold, ambitious signal that they're not here to play safe. They're here to push forward. But McCoy is no fool. He knows the finances, the risk, the competition. That's why his tone around Lampard came with a warning. Brilliant option, but maybe out of reach. 3 cards on the table, 3 paths the club could walk, and just one chance to get it right. Because this decision, make no mistake, will ripple far beyond this summer. It's about more than wins and losses. It's about identity. It's about rekindling a spirit that's been slipping through the cracks. McCoy made it clear this isn't just another managerial shuffle. This is existential. But as crucial as the man in the dugout will be, McCoy didn't stop there. No, he took it straight to the heart of the pitch. Because what good is a general without an army ready to fight? And in his eyes, this Rangers squad isn't built to battle. It's missing too much. The physicality, the presence, the authority, that old school Rangers still, it's not there. And until it is, no manager, no matter how talented, will be able to work miracles. He highlighted 3 positions where the club simply cannot afford to stand still any longer. First, the center back who can actually dominate. Not just technically sound, but someone who scares opposition strikers. Someone who commands his backline with confidence, leads by example, and brings order to chaos. Because right now, that backline has looked shaky far too often, especially in big games. You can't build anything lasting without that kind of foundation. Then in midfield, he wants a proper engine. A player who takes control, not just runs about. Someone with presence, vision, and the guts to dictate tempo. Rangers used to have midfielders that made opponents nervous just by being on the team sheet. Now it all feels too lightweight, too reactive. That's why McCoy is calling for someone to come in and own that middle of the park. Someone who sets the tone every single match. And finally, a striker, a real striker. Not just a finisher, but a forward who terrifies defenses, who holds the ball up, who bullies center backs, who scores all types of goals. Because if there's one thing this team has cried out for all season, it's a reliable goal threat. Not flashes, not maybes, consistency. Rangers sides of the past always had one. Right now, they don't. And until that changes, every match will feel like a struggle. All of this, every critique, every suggestion came from a place of love. McCoy isn't tearing the club down for the sake of it. He's trying to wake it up because he knows the danger of standing still. He's seen what happens when apathy creeps in, and he refuses to let that happen on his watch. Not while the noise from across the city grows louder. Not while Celtic keep lifting trophies and rubbing salt in the wounds. He wants courage. He wants clarity. And above all, he wants responsibility. This club isn't just a badge. It's a symbol. It carries weight. And those entrusted to lead it, whether on the pitch or in the boardroom, need to start acting like it. No more excuses. No more papering over cracks. The time to act is now. Because the fans, they're done waiting. They've stood by through it all. The highs, the collapses, the rebuilds, the hope. And now, more than ever, they need answers. They need proof that the people in charge still believe in Rangers as fiercely as they do. Because at Ibrox, belief isn't optional. It's expected. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. In what could become one of the most explosive UEFA controversies in recent years, rumors are swirling that the high-stakes clash between Rangers and Atletico Bilbao might be wiped from the record books. Why? The name on everyone's lips, Hamza Igamani, the Moroccan wonder kid, hailed as Rangers' rising star, has allegedly failed a post-match doping test, sending shockwaves through European football and leaving fans grasping for answers, saying, News comes as a bitter twist in what has been a fairy tale season for Igamani. From humble beginnings in Morocco's Temera region to dazzling Europa League nights at Ibrox, his ascent has been nothing short of meteoric. But if this rumor holds true, it threatens to tarnish not just a single performance, but the entire trajectory of a player who has until now been nothing less than electric. UEFA has yet to confirm or deny the swirling allegations, but insiders suggest discussions are already underway about the possible cancellation or annulment of the match. Such a decision would set a dramatic precedent, especially in a competition where every point can make or break a season. For Rangers, the implications could be monumental, not just on the pitch, but in the locker room, where trust and morale hang in the balance. Supporters are torn between disbelief and dread. Social media has erupted with speculation, memes, and heated debates. Is this a misunderstanding, a lab error, or something far more damaging? Igamena himself has remained silent, and the club has issued no official statement, only fueling the serious intrigue and suspicion. As the football world holds its breath, one thing is clear. This story is far from over. Whether it ends in redemption or ruin, the name Hamza Igamani is now etched into one of the most sensational sagas to hit Scottish football in recent memory. Stay tuned, because the next whistle might not be on the pitch, but in a courtroom. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.